When I was 13, I don't think about the quality of my food. I just thought about the taste of my food, maybe the composition at best, right? And protein, so I can get muscles and things like that versus,
Sure.
and also there are other options. Hey, exercise so I can gain muscles and attract the girls or whatever, right? So men's health, that's essentially what you read. Why food out of all other things that the magazines cover?
I think at that moment, it's because I couldn't do anything else. I thought the only thing I can control, the only thing that was in my control was that which I put on my plate. And I also intuitively know, I think it was a gift from spirit that there was something intuitive in my mind as a 13-year-old that said what I had been eating starting at the ages of 4 to the ages of 13 was likely contributing to my unhealth. I just had
Mm.
this intuition. It was like a gut feeling like, okay, all the medicines I've been taking, all of the crappy food that I've been putting in my body have had to be the reason, the catalyst for the way that I feel and look. And so if I change those things, if I began to embrace nourishing foods, whole foods, real food, it's got to bring me back to life. It had to. I just had this intuition.
So, a minor point, but I think an important one. You live with your family at that time, 13,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then chances are you didn't cook yourself. You had to persuade your mom or whoever to cook for you. And in living in relationship, in a positive or synergistic relationship with others, how were you able to persuade them again at a young age to, well, buy more better ingredient, but probably a little bit more expensive, a little bit harder to find, a little bit harder to come by, and then also make the change lifestyle, dietary or cooking habits such that you can fulfill your goals? Does that make sense?
Complete sense. Yeah. And not to mention, I grew up in a Italian with an Italian mother where food was like a religious experience, right? And so now all of a
Mm.
sudden I'm saying, hey, mom, you know what? Everything that you've been feeding me, can you stop? Or could you maybe make what you're making for the rest of the family? But I want to eat this over here. And so that in and of itself was like a cultural disruption in our household for
Right,
sure.
right, right. So how were you able to do that? Because I
Um,
mean, I'm also asking this question very specifically because Chinese family food is a religious experience. Mom loves to cook. This is her craft. This is her currency of love. And then I'm saying no. And there's a little bit of how can you, deny my currency of love to you? So I'm curious to know how you navigated that. And I think for people who are listening, because if you want to make a change, there are also other people in your life. So I'm asking this question also for them as well.
Yeah, I think my mom saw the desperation in my eyes where she said, wait a minute, we've been trying to inspire our son to get healthy. I remember, as a kid through that period of 4 to 13, mom and dad were pushing me to go out for the swim team or for the tennis team or to just try to find some athletic outlet, thinking that that would be the catalyst to get me on a better path. But I think that if anything, that I had a bit of a confidence issue because I wasn't good at sports and because I didn't feel good. How was I ever going to be an athlete? And so when she finally saw me kind of take the reins and say, "No, this is what I want to do. I want to focus on nutrition." She said, "Okay, let's give him a shot. Let's feed that part of him." What's really interesting is my father turned 40 around that same year. I think it was literally the same year. And, dad raising three boys, the stress of all that, he started to add a little weight around the waistline around age 40. He had sustained an injury several years prior, so he hadn't been working out. But no kidding, like 6 months into my whole journey, my dad says, "Hey, I'm gonna buy some gym equipment for the basement. And by the way, I'm gonna start eating like Jeff too." And
Mm.
little by little, like we saw this sort of transformation of the whole family. I actually haven't talked about this before. So it's the first time I'm actually building that association. But my sort of convictions around this ended up becoming a catalyst for my parents to embrace it for themselves.